Good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday, July 7th. I'm Stephanie Haney. Welcome back to 3 News Now, where we give you your update on what's topping the headlines on WKYC.com and our WKYC app. I hope everyone had a wonderful holiday weekend. I had an extended weekend. This is my first day back. It was a great time and hope everybody else enjoyed the 4th of July holiday as well. Thank you to Kiera Cotton for filling in for me yesterday while I was out. All right, let's talk about first something you're going to see around social media today. Today is Blackout Day. What that is a call for Black Americans to only spend their money at Black-owned businesses today. The idea started with a YouTube video from Calvin Martyr, who is an activist from Texas, and that was first posted on May 8th, the concept of this Blackout Day. To give you a little reminder, May 8th was the day after Gregory and Travis McMichael, a father and son, were arrested and charged with the murder of Ahmaud Arbery. Now, Ahmaud Arbery was the 25-year-old Black man who was pursued and fatally shot while he was running near Brunswick, Georgia. But those people weren't arrested until the video became public. Of course, since then, there have been many calls for racial justice amid growing concerns. Of course, we all remember the fact that George Floyd was killed by a Minneapolis police officer on Memorial Day who kneeled on his neck for almost 9 minutes. And as we've become more aware of these things happening around the country, there have been more and more calls for racial justice and racial equality. And so now this Blackout Day is getting even more attention. Black consumers account for $3.5 billion of buying power per day. That's based on annual numbers broken down from a Nielsen report from 2018. So the organizer of Blackout Day hopes that they can use this spending power to send a message. He's hoping that the message will be as powerful as the bus boycott in Montgomery, Alabama, when Black people refused to ride the bus for more than a year after Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat to a white person on the bus. So that's what Blackout Day is. You'll be seeing that on social media today as, according to this movement, Black Americans are being encouraged not to spend their money at any businesses that are not Black-owned businesses today. Let's take a look at what's happening with some new orders that are being put in place related to masks in the state of Ohio. Cuyahoga County will be considering a mask mandate today. The city council is expected to take up that issue today. Now, this is after Mayor Frank Jackson issued an executive order on Friday making masks in public mandatory in the city of Cleveland and also including enforcement measures, a whole scale of fines, which we have on WKYC.com. You can be fined if you are found to be not wearing a mask in public. This is taking things a step further than the city of Columbus did when they made masks mandatory, but said that they would not be necessarily specifically enforcing that against individuals. But here in the city of Cleveland, there is a full fine schedule if you are seen to not be wearing a mask in public. Now, Cuyahoga County, of course, where Cleveland is located, has been designated at a level 3 in the state of Ohio's new color-coded coronavirus alert system. That means there is a very high exposure and spread situation in Cuyahoga County related to COVID-19. So that also means, according to that system, that activities should be limited as much as possible to contain possible COVID-19 infection. That puts us one level under the highest alert, and under the highest alert, that indicates that there is severe exposure and threat and spread. And at that point, people are asked only to leave home for supplies and services. Now, there are not any Ohio counties currently under the level 4 alert under this new alert system that was put out by Governor Mike DeWine last week. But there are 7 total counties that are currently under the level 3 alert. That includes Cuyahoga, Huron, Trumbull, Franklin, Montgomery, Butler, and Hamilton. Now let's take a look at where the numbers stand right now related to COVID-19 here in the state of Ohio. We did see the cases drop down a bit on Monday. They are in the 800s, so not in the 900s and the thousands that we had been seeing for the past several days. But yesterday we saw 805 new cases of COVID-19 reported, according to the Ohio Department of Health. That brings the total number of COVID-19 cases that we've seen in the state of Ohio to just under 58,000. That exact number being 57,956. Now, The state of Ohio is now reporting a presumed recovery rate. So according to the coronavirus dashboard, 40,813 of those people are now presumed to be recovered. So you want to break that down by the math, that's about 70% of the cases of COVID-19 that we know about here in the state of Ohio are presumed to be recovered at this time. Yesterday, we saw 16 new COVID-19 deaths reported, bringing that total to 2,927, dating back to March 9th when we first learned of COVID-19 being here in Ohio. Do remember, though, that Dr. Amy Acton, when she was still our Ohio Department of Health Director, did say that antibody testing said that COVID-19 has been present here in Ohio since as early as January. So keep that in mind. We just first became aware of it here in March 9th. The total number of hospitalizations related to COVID-19 dating back to that March 9th date is now 8,249, with 77 new hospitalizations reported yesterday. Currently, there are 837 people hospitalized related to COVID-19. That's about 10% of the total number of hospitalizations are active right now. If we look at the ICU numbers, there were 19 new ICU admissions reported yesterday, bringing that total number to 2,077. And if you want to look at the percentage of people who are actively in the intensive care unit right now related to COVID-19, there are 267. So of the 837 people who are hospitalized, which again is about 10% of the total people who have been hospitalized, 267 of those people are currently in the ICU. That's about 32% of people who are hospitalized. So about 1/3 of the people in the state of Ohio who are hospitalized right now for COVID-19 are in the ICU. Just to give you some context with those numbers. Now let's talk sports for a minute. The Cleveland Browns center JC Tretter is saying that the NFL is risking the season with the current approach it's taken to COVID-19. Now, if you weren't aware, JC Tretter is also the NFL Players Association president, and he put out a letter today, and what he's doing is he's calling for the NFL to prioritize health over football while dealing with COVID-19, which is something that he says the NFL is not doing right now. Tretter tweeted out the letter that he wrote, and here's what he said. The NFL's unwillingness to follow the recommendations of its own experts will put this season and the safety of all players at risk. This year must look differently if we hope to play a full season and crown a Super Bowl champion. So Tretter is not only concerned about the season going off for a full season and being able to play a Super Bowl, he's also concerned about the players' health and safety. We don't really know a lot about what's been happening in the NFL behind the scenes, but here is what Tretter is saying. He says that the NFL did initially accept and implement safety suggestions from a joint committee that included eliminating joint practices and not allowing fans to be at training camp. But he said that the NFL is dragging its feet and doesn't seem to be willing to accept a recommended 48-day training camp, which could help reduce a potential injury spike, which he says is based on NFL data. Now, training camp for football teams is expected to start in 3 weeks. We do know already that the Professional Football Hall of Fame game, which is seen as sort of the unofficial kickoff of the preseason, that's been pushed back to next year. That's not happening this year. That was supposed to happen on August 6th. The Dallas Cowboys were supposed to take on the Pittsburgh Steelers down in Canton for all of the Pro Football Hall of Fame enshrinement activities, but all of that is now happening next year. The Cowboys will take on the Steelers next year in that game. There's also been talk of cutting down the preseason to 2 games, eliminating that first preseason game and that last preseason game. Here's what Tretter says as well. He says, every decision this year that prioritizes normalcy over innovation, custom over science, or even football over health significantly reduces our chances of completing the full season. He also said the NFL Players Association will do its part to advocate for player safety. They will continue to hold the NFL accountable and demand that the league use data, science, and recommendations of its own medical experts to make decisions. Tretter also said it's been clear for months that they need to find a way to put football inside the world of coronavirus, and making decisions outside that lens is both dangerous and irresponsible. Now, while football tries to figure that out, baseball and basketball are going to be kicking off here very soon. Spring Training 2.0, which is happening in the summer this year for Major League Baseball, has already started for our Cleveland baseball team, and they have now unveiled a 60-game season schedule. So, in Major League Baseball, Cleveland will be starting here at home and ending here at home. Opening day will be Friday, July 24th, and they will play the Kansas City Royals at Progressive Field. And we will have it right here on Channel 3, by the way, so you won't be able to be in the stands, but you can watch it on Channel 3 on Friday, July 24th. We'll start that programming for you at about 6:30 p.m. that day, so go ahead, mark your calendar for that now. Now, as we said, fans won't be allowed to attend games at Progressive Field to start the season, but the team will continue to work with local health and government officials to monitor if it's possible in any way for fans to return to Progressive Field during this shortened 60-game 2020 season. And our Cleveland baseball team here will wrap up on September 27th against the Pittsburgh Pirates at Progressive Field to bring it home. We have that full schedule up on WKYC.com and in our WKYC app if you want to take a look at that. Other exciting news for people who have been looking to getting back to amusement parks. Cedar Point reopens on Thursday this week for season pass holders. So they will be open from 11 a.m. until 8 p.m. each day. That's starting this Thursday, and that's through Monday, September 7th. If you would like to make a reservation, if you are a season pass holder, you can do that right now at cedarpoint.com/welcoming-u-back, which we also have linked on WKYC.com. And once you make a reservation, if you need to change an existing reservation, you can also do that at that link under the Managing Reservations section. Here's something important to note. These reservations are not transferable. You've got to have that season pass, and you've got to put in that code in order to tie that reservation to the person. So say there's more than a few people in your family with season passes, and say not everybody's planning on going on a certain day. If you don't make a reservation for that person, they can't sub in for someone else. You have to actually adjust the reservation and make that change. Each single day has a limited number of reservation slots available, so they'll be in 30-minute increments as well, and then once your visit is scheduled, your reservation is attached to your ticket. Now, if you do not show up for a reservation, no shows for 2 reservations without changing them or contacting the park to cancel will be subject to penalties and blackout periods. So keep that in mind as well when you keep in mind the fact that these are not transferable. Now, if the park is closed for part of a day that you have a reservation, or if you've not yet visited, don't worry, you don't need to contact them. You'll be able to make another reservation in the system, and that'll be fine. You can do that online or through their app. People who don't need to make reservations are guests of Cedar Point Hotel or Resort. Those people will be guaranteed entry to the park for each night of their stay with a reservation automatically issued at check-in. So if you want to avoid having to deal with the reservation system, you can just make a reservation and stay at Cedar Point Hotel or Resort, and then you'll get that reservation handled for you at check-in. That is it for your 3 News Now early update for today, Tuesday, July 7th. I'll be back here at 2 p.m. once we get those updated numbers in from the Ohio Department of Health. We do also expect a press conference from Governor Mike DeWine today, so pending any breaking updates while that address is going on, we'll try to bring those to you as well at 2 p.m., but we always have those up on WKYC.com, our WKYC app, and on Twitter as he is delivering that press conference. Everyone enjoy the rest of your morning. I'll see you back here at 2 p.m. I'm Stephanie Haney.